Life Center. I do a lot of cooking demonstrations there. We have a portable cart. I have a couple burners on it. I can roll it anywhere in the center, so it's really super cool. So here today, I couldn't bring it with me because I need a special helmet. I don't want to blow off with it. So today I am making Escarole. Anybody here Italian? Nobody's Italian. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm not Italian either, but I love everything Italian. I want to go to Italy. I just love the culture from what I know about it. So hopefully I wouldn't be disappointed when I go, but I don't think I would be. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to cut out my bacon now. Normally in this recipe it says you can use pancetta, which is an Italian bacon. Did anybody ever try that before? And that's pork, so it's you could use regular bacon, regular pork bacon too. But I'm using turkey bacon. It is lower in fat. I use regular bacon sometimes. It's not something that I eat a lot of, but I do eat it. But the turkey bacon I also made because maybe there's some people who don't eat pork, so I wanted to make sure that they tried it, and it came out really good when I made it. All right, so first I'm going to cut up my turkey bacon with my huge knife that they pointed out. And what I'm going to do too, while I'm cutting this up, because it's going to happen very fast, I'm going to turn this on. And this is an induction burner. So at this pot, it's a certain kind of pot, so when I take it off, it stops. So I put it on. Sometimes it can be good for people, maybe if they're not safe in cooking, where maybe their stove's turned off or something, but people can still use it. You have to have this pot with this or it doesn't work. So it could be a good safety thing, or good for like around children too. Alright, so this is the turkey bacon. And then everybody used this before, turkey bacon? So it's not, it's more like a cross between like a ham and maybe a pork roll or something like that. So I'm just kind of, I want it to be fairly fine, so I'm kind of cutting it like I would any other dice. And can everybody see me okay? Alright. And now I'm going to use half of it in one recipe and then the other half in the other recipe. So I'm just going to kind of finely taste it. And it's easier to cut actually than pork bacon. I know, and you know what, I always sharpen it too. I brought my sharpeners just to sharpen it before, because sometimes if it's dull, I like it. I'm just kind of used to using it, even though I don't chop fast like that chef you were talking about. But I get the job done. Alright, so I'm just going to divide this in half. And then I'm going to get my olive oil. Now, this is extra virgin olive oil. This one actually is organic extra virgin olive oil. And olive oil is cold pressed, so sometimes other oils, they have other additives or things that they do with it. Like they actually use, what's it called, like it's an agent that they put on the seeds and beans to get the oil out of them. So a cold pressed oil is really one of the best oils you can eat. Alright, let me just make sure I'm hot here. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here, it's not too much. Because the turkey bacon, if I was using regular pancetta, I wouldn't put any oil in here probably. Because it's fatty, you know? And this really isn't fatty. Now you can't see through the pot, but you're going to get to taste it. So I'm just going to stir that around for a minute while I'm doing everything else. So I tried to do everything in here so you can see that it really doesn't take a long time to do it. Alright, so I'm going to let that go for a minute while I'm doing everything else. So let me just put my turkey bacon, this thing where the bottom is on this. You have to improvise. When I have a plate or something, I'm going to put the rest of the turkey bacon on my saran wrap. Now garlic, sometimes people will say, well, they like the garlic in a jar, which is fine, it is fresh garlic, but it doesn't taste the same as if you just cut into your garlic. So I like it. Now, as I was saying, some of you might have seen me peeling the garlic. I only peeled it because they didn't have it available in the store. But they always have peeled garlic. Every store has it now. So you can just buy it, come in a Ziploc bag, and you can just take out what you want. So it makes it very convenient, and then you don't have to struggle with that, because it really is hard to get the husk off, especially if your fingers aren't so good. So now I'm going to just take the back of my knife, and I'm going to smack it. It makes it a lot easier to cut. As long as it doesn't go flying across the room. Now this is enough garlic for both my recipes. Then I just kind of gather it up a little bit. And then make sure, if you're using a knife like this, you just keep your hands like this. You don't want to keep it like this, because then you can cut your fingers. You know, and one of the things too, why I do these cooking demos is to show people that, you know, everybody's got some limitations. So you can still do something. Maybe you have to change a little bit of what you're doing to be able to get it done. Let me just turn this down a little bit. But, you know, I have multiple sclerosis. Okay, so my hand is a little bit, I can't feel it all the way. So I have to be really careful, because you look at me and you think I look fine. But I can't, if I look away, I might cut my fingers, I wouldn't even know I did it probably. You know, so, alright, so I'm just cutting my garlic. You can use a garlic press too, although I find that they're a little bit hard to squeeze with the garlic in there. And maybe there are some better ones than others, but I think I have a pretty good one, but it's still hard. It's just the pressure, I guess. Alright, and so you see smashing it kind of helps a little bit, because it sort of gets you started. Then you just keep bringing it up into a little pile. You do this the same thing for, say, parsley. You know, once you get it cut into small pieces, you just keep bringing it up into a little heap, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Oh, looks good in there. All right, so I'm going to take half of that. It might seem like a lot of garlic, but this is Italian. Okay? So we have to do it. All right. Stop for just a minute. You don't need to cook your garlic too long, because if you do, it can get kind of bitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this for a minute, just while I cut up my escarole. All right, and I'm going to put this right here on the edge of my ceramic. Okay, now this is already cleaned. Now escarole, did anyone ever eat it before? It's kind of like lettuce, but it's sort of like a mix. You can eat it, yeah, you can eat it raw, you can eat it a little wilted. So we're going to wilt it. Now, this has already been cleaned. It's very sandy, like dirty inside, so you really have to break it open and wash it. So these are all in the wash already. Now you might see a couple leaves, like, you know, the escarole, a lot of it does do this, where it gets a little bit brown. It's not bad, but it does it very fast. So some of it's not a problem if you eat it. It's just, you know, we're just making it nice. All right, so I'm just bunching it up and kind of doing a coarse chop. Sometimes people do kind of blanch it, you know, where they have boiling water and then they'll stick it in real quick. Maybe because it could be bitter, but I haven't found it to be bitter. And I find that it kind of gets too wilted if you do that. So I think it works just fine this way. Plus it's a lot faster, because then that'll stop people from doing it, because there's too many pots and all that, you know. And I might actually just do it down one more in the center. Oops. Now escarole is high in vitamin A, high in fiber. Everybody needs more fiber. Isn't that what your doctor always tells you?
Right.
Does anybody listen to their doctor?
No, I don't.
I know they don't listen to me. This is escarole with white beans. So I'm actually going to put some beans in here too. So that's fiber too.
The only thing you have is the turkey cake.
Yeah, that's it. So you can eat it as a side dish, you can eat it as a, you can eat it as a main course. You had enough of it, like a salad it would be, you have meat in there. So now I'm going to turn this back on. And it heats up really fast too. That's the other good part about the induction thing. It's already starting to sizzle. That's good. All right, so now I'm going to put in my escarole. Did you hear that already? Crazy how good that is. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of salt and pepper. And I thought for a second that I got a piece of my paper towel. I put that in there so that it wouldn't be too wet. So now this is just kosher salt, and I'm putting just a very little bit in here. Because I don't want a lot. And you shouldn't be eating a lot of salt. It's not good for people in general. Especially if you have blood pressure issues. Or issues with fluid staying on different parts of your body. This is just pepper. Alright, and then I'm going to put in, if I remember to bring it, some crushed red pepper. You might not have that. Oh, alright, so it's not going to be spicy. But you don't have to make it too spicy anyway. Just a little bit, I like. Alright, this is the beans.
What are they?
These are cannelloni beans. Now I'm going to give off. That's the thing. This could be. Alright, everybody ready? Alright, ready. Alright,
Cooked already?
yes, they're already cooked. I got them out of a can. So when you're making beans from a can, which is a good source of protein, it's good fiber, it's also very inexpensive. So it's a great thing for people to keep in their cabinets. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, thank you. Is that mine? Did I drop it or something? Or you had some? All right, excellent. All right, good. Just to make sure I know I give it back to you. A little crushed red pepper. Just a little. Do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it. Oh, so anyway, I was just saying that, it's really good to just keep some cans of beans because they give you a lot of protein and fiber. You can put them in soup, you can eat them plain, you can saute them with anything. Alright, so now what happens is you start to roll down your escarole, and then it releases some water, because on the recipe you're going to see it has chicken broth if you need it, because depending on your escarole too, sometimes it's not going to release as much water. You might just need a splash. But usually this is pretty good. Okay, so now my escarole is wilting down. I'm just going to stick my beans in. So the important part if you're using canned beans is to rinse them. Always rinse them. Because it has like a gelatinous, just from the beans sitting in there. It's part of the fiber actually. But it's not very tasty. Alright, so I'm just putting half in there. Just one can for this recipe. Alright. Smelling good. Can you smell it?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit? Alright. Now that is it. It's done. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to serve it in these little cups, and I'm going to put a little bit of Parmesan Reggiano cheese on it. Alright, now let's see.
Well, it sounds good, it smells good, I'm sure it tastes good. Fast.
Yes, very fast. And you can do all that chopping sitting down. You don't have to stand up. Alright, let's get some gloves here. I have 2 kids and I work full time, but I still want to eat healthy, because that's my life. I'm a dietitian, I have to. If I don't do it, no one else is going to do it, right? You're not going to listen to me. So I always have to plan ahead what I'm making so that we can eat well even during the week, So I always plan out my menu the week before, I have all the ingredients in the house. I just try to think about, what my schedule is going to be like so that I can make something fast. So it works out.
Where did you have to go to school to be a dietitian?
I went to Immaculata. Actually, at first, I was a Spanish major. I don't know why. That a total change. And then I left college, I went to wait tables and realized I couldn't do that for the rest of my life. And then I went back to Immaculata, and so I got a Bachelor of Science there. And then you do an internship after that. And then, you know, in hospitals and a lot of different kinds of settings, like pediatrics, geriatrics, you know, all over the clinical part and the food service part too. And then you take an exam. And if you pass it, you get to be a dietitian. If you don't, then I guess I'll do what you do. All right, so we'll do a little of this. And actually, I have some trees too.
All right.
Did she start cooking?
Yeah. All right, let's see how many people we got here. We're going to make another batch too. So we don't know, but-
Now let's give Sue a hand since she's done cooking while she's serving.